Hello to you, everybody. Welcome to Goshen Prepping. I am Eric, and my family and I live up in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. More specifically, we live in an area that has a lot of Amish people everywhere. Even like the grocery stores and stuff have posts for them to hitch up their horses. And when you talk to them, some of them are fantastic to talk to. Some kind of like, they don't want to talk to outsiders and stuff, but a lot of them will. They're super, super nice people. And I love chatting with them and getting ideas as far as what they do, because listen, to be honest, they've been preppers ever since, before electricity. And now, even in modern times, that's what they do, is they prep and prepare because their life depends on it, unlike you and I, where we can simply go to the grocery store and buy some extra stuff. Now, first off, don't get me wrong. They go to the grocery store, and that's where I meet them. They're always at the grocery store buying a lot of the stuff there. But they really depend on themselves, growing their own food, for example. But guess what? They also depend on community. Because this person over here in the Amish community may grow a lot of beans, while this one has some cows, and they really all work together and make it so as a community they thrive. And that's one of the reasons I always stress that we thrive. But I want to talk about specifically some survival foods, the way the Amish do it, because they do it and they do it very well. But we don't necessarily need to become Amish per se to still survive. For example, the first is canned vegetables. They grow veggies like crazy. Tons of veggies, and they can it. I want to say the old-fashioned way. It's not old-fashioned. We still do it this way too, but actually using canning jars. It's incredible. So, modern canned food, like I'll just use the name Del Monte, has canned peas, uses the same techniques as basically doing like glass canning jars. It just happens to be, on sale for 65 cents at your grocery store, whereas the canned one takes time. Plus, you have to buy the peas or grow them yourself. So they will can their own vegetables and survive on these canned vegetables because that is their job. You have a job. Maybe you're a dental hygienist and you don't have time to grow your own vegetables and can them all the time. You can still do it. It's easier for you to pay 65 cents for the can from your grocery store. Fine, buy the can of vegetables, because canned food, especially vegetables, last indefinitely. It does not go bad as long as the can's intact. That's the key. Now, what else is in there? You do have to worry about preservatives, and I always tell you to read labels, but usually for vegetables, it's just water and salt, things you need anyway. But that's the first thing they do, is they will can vegetables. Also canned fruits. Again, they will get fruits. They get fruits from the grocery store. They'll buy bananas and they'll buy like oranges, stuff that's not grown up here in Michigan, and they will can it. They put it away and can it. There are some fruits up here that obviously are very plentiful, like, for example, apples. There's apples everywhere here, and they will can the apples. Fantastic. We do it. We love canning apples. Now, you can buy canned apples from the grocery store in the can, and that can will still last indefinitely for the apples. But any type of acidic foods, especially if you have like tropical fruits like canned oranges, it will start to intermingle with the lining of the can. It'll start to taste kind of like metallic. Have you ever had that? An old can of metallic oranges? But it is 100% not bad for you, again, as long as the can's intact. So if we have crap hits the fan and you open up the can of oranges, oh, it tastes metallic-y, I'm going to throw it out. No, you're still going to eat it, because you know what? Crap hits the fan, and that's the only oranges you're going to get, and you need your vitamin C. Next up, maple syrup. This is like the maple syrup capital. I'm making that up. It isn't, but it really could be, because there's maple trees everywhere, the sugar maples. And we have a neighbor down the road. I don't know if this one's Amish or not, because literally on the road we'll have Amish, non-Amish, non-Amish, Amish. And so anyways, they have probably, driving past, probably like 20 acres full of nothing but sugar maples. The whole entire field is nothing but sugar maples, and they tap every single one of them. And on our property, we have about 5 sugar maple trees. You don't even have to have sugar maples, by the way, but that's the best. And we tap them practically every year. There's nothing like getting pure, amazing maple syrup straight from those trees. It's incredible. Do you have a maple syrup tree? You don't have to, because we have this thing called Walmart or your grocery store. You can buy real maple syrup in the grocery store. You just have to look at the ingredients and make sure it's just pure maple syrup, because there's the junk maple syrups where they just pack it full of all kinds of stuff to make it cheaper to manufacture. But if you get the pure stuff, it will last indefinitely. You don't even need to tap your own trees. So that's another thing you can do, even if you don't want to be Amish. Herbs are where it's at. Spices are where it's at. And I always tell everybody, listen, we think that, I can have just plain rice and eat the rice and be happy. And that's true. You will survive. But having like some kind of normalcy when crap hits the fan is so important. It's vital. Having a warm, hot meal that's delicious and tasty During times of trouble, will ease you and calm you and will make it better to survive. Not better like, yay, I'm happy to survive, but you will actually survive longer in those situations. So having herbs is the way to go. Having an herb garden in your house is easy. Herbs are often like weeds. We planted mint, for example. It's taken over. There's mint everywhere, and we love it. We have all kinds of different flavors, even of just the mint. But grow your own herbs. Go for it. Do a lot of it. The Amish do this and have all kinds of spices. Now, if you don't have time for it, you don't have the place to grow herbs, that's okay. We sell the herbs at grocery stores. Well, not we, but the grocery stores do. Or you can just buy the spices, stock up on them, just make sure they stay dry because it's going to go bad if you don't. But you really need to have those tasty meals. Pickling. Amish love to pickle. Pickled eggs, for example, is a big one. It's very popular among the Amish. They make their own vinegar. They pickle the eggs. That's good. I'm not a pickle kind of guy. I'm an egg kind of guy. But I'll tell you, if crap hits the fan, I'll probably enjoy eating a pickled egg over eating nothing at all. Pickling is a great way to have something that lasts practically indefinitely. They also make jerky. I'm not a person who can make jerky very easily, but they take the meat and make jerky. You have to be very careful to make sure it's not going to go bad, but you can do it. I personally like to smoke the meat. We have a really nice smoker. And since we live out in the property with lots of wood, I purposely bought a smoker that uses wood instead of pellets or propane, etc. And I will sometimes buy charcoal to help keep the fire going. But this is what the Amish do too. They make jerky and they smoke a lot of meat. It is the perfect way that's been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years to preserve your meat so it doesn't go bad, because we know the meat and the proteins are something you must have. Something else we do in our property is we have chest freezers. It's perfect for holding meat. And if crap hits the fan, the grid goes down, I have solar generators that will keep those freezers going indefinitely. Amish also depend on fermentation. My wife, Ashley, loves fermented food. For me, I'll eat it, but it's not my favorite. But that's okay. I like yogurt, and that's a fermented food. But, if we're looking at sauerkraut and stuff, it's great because by being acidic, because of the organisms in there, will make it so the causative organisms that cause spoiling, that actually, makes the food go bad, will not be able to live because of the acidic environment. So therefore, any of the stuff in there, like the ones that produce that lactic acid, will keep the food preserved. It's fantastic. It doesn't spoil. Dried goods. I'm going to tell you right now, this is so huge in the Amish community. This is like a big staple. And we, of course, all over the place, there's Amish stores up here because they make so much of it. They will turn around and sell 50-pound bags of dried beans. I mean, it's everywhere up here, and it's a great place for me as a prepper to pick up our stuff. I love it. But what they do, of course, this Amish person, they specialize in making beans or growing beans. These ones grow wheat. And they take all of that, and the dry goods will last indefinitely. It's fantastic. And literally, when you go to their stores, it's every bean you can think of, by the way. So much of it. They even have rice there, too. I don't think there's a single Amish person up here in Michigan that grows rice. But I don't know if you know it. Amish do import stuff, too. They don't simply just shop in their community. They buy stuff other places, too. Like, for example, there's an Aldi here. We like going to Aldi. And it's funny because they actually have a limit on how much butter you can buy, because they said the Amish will come in and buy every single butter that's actually in the fridge. And I don't know why they do that. Maybe they don't like making butter, because that is our last one, is milk. Because milk obviously doesn't last long, because we're talking about, preserving the milk. Pasteurizing the milk will make it last. If you actually have the raw milk, and it's even illegal in some states to have the raw milk, it only lasts maybe, I don't know, I've never had raw milk. I wish I had a cow for raw milk, but it only lasts a number of hours or a day. Maybe you can put in the comments below and let me know exactly how long it lasts. And the Amish know this, but it's not even just Amish, but people before refrigeration knew this. And what you could do, by the way, is if you have a hand-dug deep well, you can actually drop the milk and keep it in the well, in obviously a sealed container. And the well water is cold. It's like a refrigerator. I mean, it's not as cold as your fridge, but it works very well. But what did they used to do to make it so the milk would actually last longer? Turn it to butter. That was the whole point of making butter, because you can make the butter and you can put that on the counter and it's not going to go bad. It's not going to go rancid for a long time. Put milk on the counter, forget it. It's not going to last. So Amish still depend on this too. Again, they buy butter from the store. Maybe they like Aldi better than making their own, I guess. Have you ever used a butter churn? You have to have a lot of muscles and a lot of patience to make that work. And there's some Amish, by the way, that'll even dehydrate milk too and turn it into milk powder. But most of the Amish actually have the cows will simply have the milk and disperse it among the community every single day, so they don't need to preserve it. But that's what we do. we try to stock up on all this stuff. And maybe you can take these lessons on Amish like we do. Or maybe if you're ever up in my neck of the woods, stop and talk to the Amish people. Fantastic. They're really fun to talk to and talk about their ways. And it's just cool how basically they've held on to these preservation techniques since, well, obviously before electricity, they just never switched over like the rest of us did. Put in the comments below, what kind of cool things have you learned from the Amish? Because they have really cool stuff they've put out. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.